We be doing this, bro. God's been blessing. Oh, we're going? We look good. Thank you for trusting me blindly, bro.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun.
Oh, yeah.
What's going on, visionaries? Welcome to season 2, episode 19. I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, the Black Panther himself, the Ryan K. Crawford.
The Black Panther.
We talked about it.
Yes, we
Okay.
did. And before my daughter, I have 2 kids. And before my daughter was born,
Yeah.
like I put out on social media like this set of rules
Yeah.
for people to follow if they wanted to be around her or hold her or anything like that. One of the rules, and like this was right around when the Black Panther came out, and one of the rules was like, she gonna be convinced that I'm T'Challa. Like,
Legitimate, the Black Panther.
yes, and if anybody messes this illusion up, then they cut off.
Yeah.
And so, like, to this day, I mean, she's probably not convinced because she knows it's a movie. But, like, every time a Black Panther thing come on the TV, or like a Wakanda Ever movie came out, Forever movie came out, she was like, look, Dad, that's your movie. I was like, you're right.
You're
That
right.
is my movie.
No. How old is she now?
She's 4.
How's that going? The
She's
Black Panther?
she hasn't actually seen the movie because, like, I mean, she's 4, and I'm not trying to
Traumatize her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People shooting stuff and fighting and everything.
Bro, so I told Ryan about the social media deep dive, and I went to his Facebook. I was trying to find a picture. Bro, you legitimately had T'Challa as your profile picture, like,
did.
for like 3 years in a row.
I did. It must have been, it might have been after he died.
Yeah. I don't remember the
before
exact timeline. It was like this artsy, like, looked like someone drew it.
Yeah, it was. I think that was after he died, after Chadwick Boseman died.
Yeah.
And someone had
RIP.
done a kind of like a watercolor abstract portrait,
Yeah.
like
So
West Coast style. It was really cool.
what I'm going to do to keep the illusion up for your daughter, I'm going to name this episode Chopping It Up with a Black Panther.
There you go. I like it.
Bro, welcome to the pod, man. Thanks for coming, for real.
Man, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. So first question I ask everyone that comes on the pod: if you meet a stranger and they ask what you do, how do you explain that concisely?
Yeah, so I am a worship pastor at the church, at Battle Creek Church, and so
Quick plug.
I
Out
work
here in Tulsa.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I work backwards from that though, but most people understand like being a musician,
Yeah.
professionally. So I would probably just start there. I'd be like, yeah, I'm a musician. I play music at a church. I'm a singer and all that kind of stuff, and so I do a lot of arrangements and service. And people in this region of the country too, like they know church.
Yeah.
And so that part is kind of easy to understand. I'd be like, oh, yeah, I'm a church musician. And they'd be like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But for people who might not be familiar with that, like I would just hit the music angle and be like, yeah, I'm a musician. I play a bunch of instruments. I produce music and stuff. And
Yeah.
I'm a church boy, and so I do all that full time for our church. And, you know,
Invite them to church for you.
yeah, I use that all the time.
Yeah,
Like,
man. That's dope, bro. So I want to take the timeline back a little bit. So I know you're from Louisiana.
Yeah, I'm from New Orleans. Yeah.
Like born and raised.
Yep.
Whole
Yep.
thing. Talk to us about what brought you to Tulsa, man. The whole thing, the whole story.
Yeah, so the whole story is very long, but
The condensed version.
yes, the condensed version is, I was born and raised in New Orleans, and I had no plans of being anywhere else but New Orleans. But in 2005, August 29th, 2005, Hurricane Katrina hit. Some of y'all might be familiar with Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a Katrina evacuee into Oklahoma, and so
How old were you there, bro?
18, I had just started college.
Man,
so
dude.
I had just started at the University of New Orleans. And I wasn't living on campus. It was literally probably 10 minutes away from my house. So I was just going and coming back every day.
Yeah.
But we had done 1 week of class, and then the hurricane hit the next Monday of the next.
That's
of the
wild,
next
man.
week.
Like first week of college, like freshman.
Yeah.
That's wild, dude.
And so, so really, if you know anything about hurricanes and how people in New Orleans think about hurricanes, at least regularly, it's a lot like people in Oklahoma and the Midwest.
Yeah. With the
area
tornadoes.
think
and stuff.
tornadoes, yeah. Like they don't care. Like tornadoes be out, and they be like, let's go see it. And I'll be like, what do you mean go see it? Take cover.
Yeah.
But hurricanes are a little bit less intimidating because they don't just pop up out of nowhere. Like you could see them in the Gulf.
Yeah, and you can anticipate them and
days,
so forth.
sometimes weeks ahead. You can see a storm is brewing. So, but also with hurricanes, like once they hit land, a lot of time they lose kind of their force a little
Yeah.
bit, and then they dissipate and stuff. And it still can be a tough storm. But Hurricane Katrina was like one of those rare ones that was Category 5 is as big as you can get.
Yeah.
So it was a Category 5
That one will
storm.
for sure be in the history books, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
at this point, it's still like the biggest,
most catastrophic, like
storm that's hit U.S. soil.
Yeah. So how, like, I don't know how that even works, bro. Do they choose Tulsa for you? Do you get to choose? Like, because they brought you to Oklahoma, but was that your choice, or they just kind of?
My parents, you saying?
Yeah, because you were an evacuee, right?
Yes. So, but we like on our own. So we
you
left on our own. So basically, kind of to tag what I was talking about a second ago with how New Orleans people view tornadoes or hurricanes.
Yeah.
We basically went to sleep Saturday night with all the coverage and stuff like that, and they were saying, "Yeah, this is a big storm. It's coming. You might want to get out of here." Well, there was one that hit, or that was supposed to hit, before Katrina.
Yeah.
Maybe a few weeks before that, and we did evacuate for that one, and that was crazy because traffic was crazy, and it took us forever to get like a couple hours down the road.
Yeah.
It took us like all day until the middle of the night. So we wanted to go to Texas. We ended up not even leaving Louisiana. And so we're watching the hurricane before Katrina. We're watching it on the news, and it ended up veering off and dissipating and not being nearly as bad as people thought. And so we thought Katrina was going to be the same thing. And so really we went to sleep Saturday being like, it's probably going to be the same as the one that was going to hit before this, so we'll just stay. And then Sunday morning, super early, like 4 o'clock in the morning, my dad woke us up and was like, let's go. Let's get out of here. It might not hit, it might hit, but let's just take a couple changes of clothes and some snacks, and let's just get out, and then we'll come back when everything blows over.
Yeah.
And that was the last time that I saw my house.
Dang, dude.
It was until, I saw it later, but yeah, that was the last time.
Yeah. And so how did y'all end up in Tulsa?
So my dad, he had family in Sand Springs.
Okay.
We didn't come straight to Oklahoma, but we ended up in Oklahoma. So everybody was going west, we went east. So we ended up in this little town in Alabama called Phoenix. Yeah, Phoenix, Alabama. And we went to, we found a hotel, and it was hard. Like traffic, like I said, it was just as crazy, if not more crazy than.
Everyone's trying to get out.
Everybody's trying to get out.
Yeah, man.
And there's a whole bunch of stories about how we ran into the right person at the right time, or how literally on the road we saw people who had run out of gas, and our gas tank stayed at a certain level so that we can get to the next town and get some gas.
The Lord,
just
bro.
little stuff like that, where the Lord was literally taking care of us specifically. And but we got to this little town in Alabama called Phoenix, and we stayed in a hotel, and we just turned the news on, and we were just watching.
And it was, man, dude, was that traumatizing for you? Because it's like your hometown, man, all your family and friends, and you just watching it, can't do anything about it.
There's nothing that you can do, I think, to prepare for something like that. It's just a surreal feeling. And so even if you don't feel like it's a visceral trauma, it's still there's nothing that you can do to think, okay, yeah, the place that I grew up in, my hometown, my home itself, it's just not there no more.
Yeah.
Because of something as crazy as a flood or a hurricane or a fire. People experience it in different ways, but obviously an entire city is experiencing that at one time, and that's crazy to think about. And so, it is surreal, and in a lot of ways, I think I spent the next few years, and even probably up until today, processing that and figuring out how to, bring closure to that part of my life. And actually about 7 years later, because what was that? That was 2005. I got married in 2012.
Yeah.
And in 2013, for my first anniversary with my wife, we went to New Orleans.
Yeah.
And so I had been back once before that.
Yeah.
But it was kind of quick after everything had happened. And so all I see is empty houses and boarded up houses and neighborhoods that I used to be familiar with.
Yeah.
That's nobody's there.
Was that weird, bro?
Yeah, it was very weird.
Man,
it was really weird. So that was the last time I saw New Orleans or had been there until my first anniversary with my wife. We went there and we stayed. And
you saw the aftermath of all that stuff.
I saw basically 7 years worth of the city recovering and it wasn't like it was before, but it was a lot better.
Yeah.
And I was able to kind of hang out with my friends and some of the people that I was with at the church I was at in New Orleans and stuff. And so that kind of helped me bring closure to that chapter of my life. But before that, when you don't have that opportunity,
it's like
you would, that's tough to deal with. And I would get like really homesick just randomly at times.
It's because at that point it's like I moved away from my hometown, but because that was my choice, and it wasn't like because I was forced out or because of a natural disaster. Yours was just like it was for my well-being. I had to get out of there.
Yeah,
bro. So fast forward to now, or a more present timeline, and you're like obviously you've been in music your whole life.
Yep.
What's the backstory there? Were you in church your whole life, or?
Yeah, so I as far back as I can remember, I was in church.
New Orleans church is different, bro.
It is. But as far back, like I said, as I can remember, I was in church. I grew up in church. My family is a very musical family. Even my uncles and aunts and stuff, everybody's like singers. They can sing. And my cousins and stuff some of them are musicians and stuff like that. So everybody, it's kind of been a part of my DNA, really. And so my parents and people around me saw that I kind of had a special aptitude.
You did, bro. This guy
doing it.
plays everything, y'all.
So I started playing drums when I was 5.
Yeah.
And just kind of did that on and off in the church because like my best friend growing up, I call him my cousin. That's how we do it. Yeah. His dad, my Uncle John, he was the music director at that church. And so, and John Jr., my cousin, my big cousin, he was the drummer there. And so most of the time he drummed, I would drum off and on with him too. And we would like switch off and stuff. And he's a stupid, great drummer.
Yeah.
But like we would switch on and off and stuff like that. And then I moved to like percussion and like congas and stuff like that too. So I didn't know that. Up there and
can you still do that now, bro?
Probably. I don't know. It's been a while since I like was serious about it.
Yeah.
And then I moved to keys because that family, my cousin and his family, they moved to a different church. Yeah. So I started playing keys and stuff like that. And at one point, it was just 2 people in the band, and that was me, and then we had a guitar player. He was from Japan. His name was Makuni Fukuda. He was
shout out if he's out there.
So good. He's so good. And it was just me and him. And so what I had was this little Casio Radio Shack keyboard. And it was the ones that had the speakers on them, but they had like the beats built in, like programmed in.
Yeah.
And so like you could like play the little beat, hit the fill button and stuff like that when you wanted to introduce a new phrase or whatever. You could split the keyboard to like have like piano on this side and like bass on this side.
That was your Ableton before?
So I was the band. Yep.
That was your Ableton.
And so it was like me and Mac, and we were the band for a while. So that's kind of how I got into like really like figuring music out and figuring worship ministry out.
Yeah.
Now all this time I didn't know the Lord. I grew up in a house where my mom and dad, like they loved the word, they loved the Lord. They made sure that I knew and that my brothers and I knew like who Jesus was and what this house was going to be about. Yeah. They never forced like Christianity on me, forced the faith on me.
Like you went to church, but it wasn't like, it was basically your decision.
But it was more like, this is the standard in our house. Not necessarily that because we're Christians that you're a Christian, but like this is how we operate in this house, that type of thing. And this is what, it means to represent as a Crawford person. And so like that, because of that, like the word was very important in the house. My dad was like a Bible teacher at the church. My mom was the worship leader at the church that I grew up at. So they were both elders. So that means if the church was open, I was in there.
You're pastor's kid, bro.
Pretty much.
There's extra eyes on you, bro.
And yeah, keep watching. But so then because like I said, my mom was the worship leader at that church, and we called it praise and worship then. We didn't call it like worship leading. She was the praise and worship leader. Before that, we called it devotion. I don't know if y'all know what that is. Devotion, bro. Yeah.
Are your siblings musical too?
Everybody's pretty musical. I would say like I'm I'm probably the one who like carried forth and like tried to
Do it.
really
Yeah.
get into it and play instruments and stuff like that. But both of them can sing. And the one right below me, he can play guitar a little bit. And so,
Sheesh, bro.
yeah, man.
So okay, so you're in Oklahoma. Where do you go? Because you're starting life all over again. You don't know anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no history there really.
Yeah,
Like how now you're like a worship pastor at like one of the bigger churches out here. Like, just lead us through that journey, man.
Yeah, so there, I'm gonna try to do like the condensed version because like
this is about to be a 3-hour episode, y'all.
There's so much in it that is like good for people to hear that I like sharing.
Yeah,
and I often, as the years have gone on, I lose track of who knows the story because obviously early on in like 2006 and 2007,
yeah.
everybody who knew me knew that that's what my
that
story was. Like that was pretty much all people knew me
This
for.
is the remix, the revamp.
Yeah, so now I get to kind of like tell the story how I want to tell it. But we go to Oklahoma. We're here, and we moved a bunch because we're trying to figure out where to stay.
Yeah.
At first, we stayed. Like I said, we were in Phoenix, Alabama, where we came back around, ended up in Oklahoma because my dad had family here. Yeah. So we stayed with his oldest sister in her house, and she stayed not far away from my great aunt, who has since passed. My dad has since passed too. But they had like a lot where she lived in a shotgun house on the lot, and then there were 2 other properties on the lot as well.
Sand Springs?
Sand Springs. And one we didn't own, but we owned the other shack. It was basically a shack. And so for a little bit, we stayed in this shack, and it had fleas, and then we ended up going to like a Best Western in Sand Springs and staying there.
That's tough, man.
For a while, we were trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do about school? Because I had just started at University of New Orleans, so obviously I'm not going back there.
What were you trying to study?
I started doing electrical engineering in UNO. I tried that again after some time at Oklahoma State, which is where I ended up going.
Yeah.
And I hated it. I hated it so bad.
That musician brain, bro.
The problem was I ended up doing economics, so it wasn't like I enjoyed that and the numbers. I think I wanted something that was accounting and finance seemed a little bit too numbers driven for me at the time. Economics seemed like there was more I don't know, philosophy to it and interaction with people and stuff like that.
Did you graduate with that?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know you had an economics.
Oh, really? Yeah.
That's crazy, bro.
And so,
I mean, you using it now?
I mean,
with the Lord?
Sure.
Stewarding what the Lord gave me, kind of?
Yeah. I mean, somebody got to figure out how to make sure these budgets work.
Yeah.
So I
That's
sure
dope,
my
man.
budget worked. But
that's dope, man.
I did, like, when I graduated, I did go into that field for a little bit. And then not long after I got married, I ended up going to Muskogee to work at a church.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was there for a couple of years, and then I came back to Tulsa, and then I've been here at Battle Creek since then.
So where's the connection with Battle Creek?
So when I did get into school, because Oklahoma State really is kind of the only school that reached out and helped.
Yeah.
You know, we had appealed to several schools around the area, and nobody really responded, and then Oklahoma State did.
For the UNO students? Or for...
To just people who, whether they were in UNO or whatever it was, college students who were coming from New Orleans. Like, there was, I don't know what other people's experience was, but I know that when we reached out and tried to, like, get help or at least get back into school, like, that was the only, Oklahoma State's the only school that, like.
You graduated from OK State?
Mm-hmm.
You poked.
That's right.
But why did I didn't know this, bro? I'm figuring this out for the first time. Yeah.
I thought, man, see, but that's what it is. Like, the further I get away from that story, I lose track of who knows and who doesn't know stuff like that.
Yeah, we're setting the record straight right now
on
the pod.
So people start making stuff up. Nobody makes anything
Yeah.
up. But so I got back into school.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to a church called Sunnybrook Christian Church in Stillwater.
Yeah.
And so, like, it was, for me, because I grew up in church and because by that time I did know the Lord, I did get introduced to the Lord. And so, for me, it was like, it's not a matter of, like, if like or a decision. It was like, I got to figure out which church I'm going to go to.
Yeah.
You know? So, I church hopped for a little while, ended up at Sunnybrook Christian Church, got connected with the worship pastor at that church, and like the band was pretty, like it was pretty set. You
Yeah.
know how, like with our team, we kind of rotate through people,
Yeah. They
but
had like the set roster.
at Sunnybrook, yeah,
Consistent,
it was
yeah.
pretty consistent, you know,
Yeah.
especially the band. And so I had met and become friends with a lot of people in that band, in the worship team,
Yeah.
and stayed at that church, serving at that church under that worship pastor until I graduated. I did an internship at that church like one summer and all that kind of stuff. So I graduate, I come back to Tulsa, and then there was a guy who had graduated before me
Yeah.
who was playing guitar at Battle Creek when it was
Yeah.
just called the church at Battle Creek. And so by that time I was already dating Devin, and we were trying to figure out a church that we were both going to go to.
Yeah.
So she had tried a church. Then we both went to it one time when I visited over the weekend, and we was like, yeah, we'll see, you know.
Yeah.
And then we got invited by a family friend of hers to Battle Creek.
Yeah.
And then I knew the guy that was playing because he had played with me in Stillwater at Sunnybrook. Yeah. And so I like stuck around after church to catch him and be like, yeah, what's up, bro? Everything good, you know? And then
Sunnybrook sounds like a brunch place to me, bro.
It does. Or a retirement home.
Yeah, one of the two, yeah. All right, so you connect with this guy.
Yeah, so I'm waiting to connect with Jason, my friend. And while I'm doing that, the worship pastor at Battle Creek at the time, his name was Michael Letney. We struck up. Yeah. So we struck up a conversation, and I told him that I knew Jason, and we played together and stuff. And then we just kind of made that musician connection. And then I got plugged in at Battle Creek. And so then we were there. That was 2010. We were there until, like I said, I got married in 2012. We were there. And then not long after I got married, that's when we moved to Muskogee.
Yeah. And you weren't the worship pastor immediately, right? You were just volunteering at Battle Creek?
Yeah.
And you were working, what were you doing like as your job before that?
Yeah, I was working in accounts receivable at a closing firm.
Bro, I didn't know that.
Entry level.
This is like, crazy,
economics job where, you know.
I mean, you were dating Devin, and like you had to make it. You were married already at that point?
No, I didn't get married till 2012. I graduated in 2010.
Yeah.
Started going to Battle Creek.
Working at this other job.
Tulsa, working at the other job, and just going and volunteering and stuff like that. And it was good. It was never a thing where I was like, I'm going to just keep doing this until maybe I get a job. It was just like, well, I'm here.
I have the skill set. We're doing it.
I'm going to serve the church. Because like that was a church career actually is, if we look at like church history, my job is not really a thing.
Yeah.
You know, in church. It's not
more recently it's become a thing.
Yeah. And I mean, maybe even as recent as like the last, I don't know, 70 years, that's become a thing where you have somebody who you designate as a worship leader. And like I said, like in the church I grew up in, we called it.
Bro, we can unpack that worship culture and we're nerd out all day. We might get into it, bro.
Yeah.
Because like Hillsong and all them, like, I don't think like Joel Houston and all them weren't even like the worship pastor and all that at Hillsong. They were just like, they were there.
Yep.
And they like help, or God used them to shape the culture now. So this worship pastor thing is, I don't know.
It's pretty new. It's really new, really, as far as the church is concerned, and positions that you want to make available or that you want to have people do. Like that's a new thing. And I think for that reason, it's really important for us, like as the church, to make sure that we are poring over the scriptures and figuring out how to do that well, because it's a new thing, you know, for us, and we want to navigate that well. So, but anyway, I was at Battle Creek, 2012. We got married, and then the way that I ended up moving to Muskogee was they were looking for a worship pastor at this church that I ended up going to called Boulevard Christian Church. Yeah. Well,
what's up with you with all the nursing home sounding names? Church,
man, I don't know.
Boulevard, Sunnybrook.
That's what it was. I guess the Christian church has nursing home sounding names.
not Battle Creek. Battle Creek sounds kind of.
But that was like so Christian church is like kind of a denomination, kind of not. They have a lot of friends and people who kind of help start that movement denomination. They come from like Ozark in Joplin, Missouri. Yeah. So a lot of good people out there in Ozark. Yeah. So anyways, is a connection between Sunnybrook and Boulevard.
Yeah.
And so basically Boulevard called Steve at Sunnybrook, who was the
Yeah.
worship pastor there, and was like, hey, we're looking for a worship pastor. Do you know anybody? Steve gave them my name, called me, told me that he gave them my name.
Yeah.
And so that's how we ended up in Muskogee. And we were there for a couple years. And then some people that I was serving with back in Tulsa at Battle Creek called me and said, hey, we're opening up.
They put the Batman signal.
They
the
put
Ryan Crawford logo.
The one on YouTube. They called me and was like, hey, we're opening a campus at downtown. We want to do something a little different.
Where we're at right now.
And that's where we are right now. As a
Come to
matter of
life,
fact,
yeah.
yeah. And so I came and like interviewed and like led a service and stuff like that. And actually both times, so when I went to Boulevard the first time and I like led and interviewed and stuff like that, at first I went and to see if I wanted to do it. And first I was like, nah, you know. But then me and Devin prayed about it and we was like, yeah, we should do it. And so it was like, I'm glad that we didn't just go off of, I don't want to change into being obedient and stepping into that time. And it was the same thing when I came and like interviewed and figured out what was going on here. At first I was like, nah. But then I got a chance to sit with the soon-to-be campus pastor of downtown at the time. His name is Mike Hoyt. He's still on our Battle Creek staff.
Yeah.
I love him. We got a chance to kind of sit down and like cast some vision and stuff. And then I was like, yeah, I think we should do it. So we prayed about it, came back to Tulsa. And then that was 2014.
You've been at downtown since the genesis of it, right? Like help build it from the ground up, maybe? Is that the word you would use? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as far as like what we have now. So the backstory of how we got this campus and all that kind of stuff is kind of long. But as far as what we do now and our staff and our team and our culture, it was a privilege to kind of start building that.
We're reaching the halfway point of the pod.
Yeah.
I already know where I want to go after this. So I already talked to you before this. I'll show you a couple pictures on Facebook actually, because you had some better pictures. After that, dude, I for sure want to like pick your brain on a lot of Tulsa / just worship culture in general. Because y'all, I look up to this man. Like the way that his brain works when it comes to worship stuff, like very spiritually led initially, but then also with like the technical stuff. Yeah. Like you're the kind of guy that like know everything about everything. Like technically, like drums and sound and lighting and all that. But
appreciate it.
We got some stuff, bro. So for the social media deep dive, I got some pictures.
Oh yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, one of them I might do you dirty, bro. I don't know how I feel about this outfit.
It's all good.
It's a cute picture. I'm gonna show you the picture. It's in 2012, and you just tell me.
Okay, it's 2012. Okay, cool.
Yeah. What's going on there?
We're newlyweds. Do I have to show?
No, he's gonna put it on the screen.
Okay.
So
yeah, we got married April 21st, 2012.
It's the glasses for me, dog.
Them glasses are taking over my face.
Hey,
I got a small head, and I'm okay with it.
Bring it back, bro. Bring back the look.
But yeah, my wife looking beautiful as usual.
So what was going on there? What were y'all doing?
Man, I'm trying to. Oh, this was probably a wedding. I think this was somebody's wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And
you were married already.
We were married already. This was a wedding. I think this is one of Devin's friends' wedding. Yeah. And we were there. If this is the person that I
captioned
think it is,
mom and dad.
If this is the person I think it is, there was something really funny that happened at this wedding, but also kind of like sad. Everybody was like, oh, all right. So it was like in the afternoon. Yeah. They had this kind of like wood, like cabin reception area and had like big glass, like floor to ceiling windows or something like that. And so everybody's giving their speeches and stuff like
at the reception.
At the reception. Yeah. And I think the mom might have said something. And then the father of the bride, he gets up and, it's a wedding. It's a beautiful moment and everything. And he's talking about how, he's so happy to see his baby girl married and with somebody she loves, somebody that loves the Lord and stuff. So he's getting emotional. And then the bride's mom like gets up and she's like, all right, cool, cut it off. Getting emotional. Let's wrap it up. And so I was like, oh, this is like the only time we're going to get a chance to like express this.
Yeah, she was just not having it.
And she was just like, all right, cool, wrap it up. And so I was like, man,
Man, you took your big old
I
glasses
was like, I
off,
hope
bro.
they got that on video. I felt bad for dude, but also I was like, I mean, she was kind of right.
Yeah.
She was, but it was cool. I was
Was
like,
he
hey,
killing
man,
the vibe?
was he killing? No, not really. I mean,
Because that sounds like she was pretty aggressive about it. Of like,
she kind of was, and
yeah,
that it threw me off. It threw me off because like after it, I'm talking to Devin, and I'm like, was that weird to you? Like
yeah,
that she got up and like cut that off, and she was like, yeah, that was kind of weird.
yeah.
But no, I mean, he was maybe going on for a little bit, but again, like this is the only time
He's gonna get a chance.
that you're gonna get a chance to do this in front of all these people and express your, how
You-
proud you are.
Yeah.
Mom was like, yeah, cool. Tell her later. Text her. Send
Literally.
a voice message.
Yeah. I got one more, bro.
Okay.
This one is 2020.
Oh wow. Okay.
What's going
Yeah.
on there, bro?
So first of all, I was rocking the braid and fades.
Was it the Unions? The Union Jordans? Or did you just switch out the laces to
I
make
think I switched out the
You tricked me.
laces.
do me dirty?
Yes. I think they were on the way, and I was just excited. I thought they would be here by
For that
Easter.
shoot?
And so I had laces. I was like, well, let me just put my gold laces in.
Yeah.
So
So,
like the
so what's
bread
going on there, bro?
So this was this was in 2020. So we like in the middle of the
Pandemic.
COVID quarantine. Everybody's quarantining and stuff like that. But we're still trying to like stay connected online at church and everything. And I had grown my hair out, and because I know it's like,
There wasn't no one was cutting hair, bro.
right.
That was
Yeah.
my hair was done, man.
So I had I was going to a barbershop at the time, and then obviously everybody's quarantining, so the shop wasn't open.
Mhm.
But my guy who was cutting my hair there, he was like taking appointments, and he was going to people's houses
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So that was cool.
Yeah.
But I grow my hair out. I did the two braids because I just was trying something different.
Bring it back, bro.
But that was a shoot we did for Easter,
Mhm.
where we shot like our band. We got together and we
It looked like it
built
was
a
the
set.
worship pastors from every campus
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah.
like that, yeah.
And we like built a set on the stage at the central campus, and we sang "Graves in the Gardens." And
It's on YouTube.
it is on
Yeah.
YouTube. Check it out.
Yeah, we
You
can
want to
check
be
it.
encouraged.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was so we shot that and actually sang it and recorded it at the shoot as well.
So
we didn't
the
like,
audio
do-
that's on the video that's actually you live there.
Yeah.
Is-
So we didn't like record it, and like we recorded all the audio, vocals, and everything
yeah.
from the shoot.
Yeah.
And the reason I mention that is because we sang that song probably 5 or 6 times,
Oh,
and it's like
to get all the
to get the shots, to get the energy, to get everything that you need, and that makes sense when you're doing like a curated music video.
Mhm.
It's different at a live event. Obviously, you can only do what you can do.
Yeah.
But at that, we were trying to shoot something, and it was the first time that I think all of us had done it
Yeah.
together, and so we had to keep shooting.
So
and
so like
by the time we got to the end of that, bro, I was like,
I hate this song.
"He turns graves into gardens. There are no more graves,
Yeah.
okay? They're just gardens. There are no more seas. They're just highways."
Bro,
My voice was tired. It was crazy.
the final video, so is the final video cuts from all 4 or 5 takes?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
You tricked me. You tricked me. I thought it was just one hit. I thought y'all just killed it.
We sang it all the way through every time, though. We didn't just like hit parts of it and punch it in. Like we sang it every time.
That's tough, man. Recording's tough.
It
There's
is,
a lot
it is.
more
It's fun,
goes
though.
in. Yeah,
I
it's
love it.
fun. A lot more goes into it than I think people think.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I watched that video and I didn't know anything about music, I would have thought that like it took one hit. That's it. That song's pretty, like for worship leaders, that song's easy.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
But
man.
it was kind of new at that point.
Yeah, it was popping. It was
Yeah.
going off on that time.
Yeah.
2020. So fast forward to a more present timeline. I want to pick your brain a little bit, bro. So kind of how you said, so when you first started getting involved with the worship scene in Tulsa, when you moved here, it wasn't like worship pastoring wasn't a thing. Like being on a church staff or being a musician wasn't really a thing. It was more like this is the gift that God gave me. I'm going to serve my community because I love God. And this is like my offering back to him, you know? So what would you say about like, I think the worship culture now, I'm not saying that it's disingenuine, but I feel like a lot more often there's a lot of, maybe some of those like underneath intentions, you know? And, at least being friends with you and the times that I've been under your leadership, like you're super quick to make sure that everyone's heart is right of why we do this and why this matters.
Yeah.
And bro, like the stuff that you do is excellent. Like on Sunday morning, it's not even like the congregation is like a crazy or super crazy production value. You're just bringing your best because God deserves that. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
if you can kind of talk into what you think the worship scene looks like right now, maybe some advice slash heart posturing that you would speak into. Yeah.
I would say that any time you have something that like appeals to a lot of people, especially stuff like music or acting or stuff like that, it's easy for people to be drawn to that and then be drawn to the person because of that.
Yeah.
Right. One of the coolest things that I got to do, and I think this went a long way in helping me kind of understand what these moments are about, is when I was in Oklahoma State, I got a chance to be a part of this worship team, this worship band
Yeah.
called Overflow. We did Overflow service every Tuesday night. Now, the crazy thing about Overflow was the lights were out the entire time. So nobody saw us. The only light in the room was from, like, people maybe had maybe candles or something like that lit around the room.
Yeah.
But the only light that you saw was like the light that the screen was giving from the words being put on the
Yeah.
screen, But nobody saw us.
Like who was singing or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if you recognize my voice or something
Yeah.
when I talk to you later or something like that, or maybe if you got a glimpse of us when we brought the lights out so people can see on the way out, maybe. But like during the service and even getting into the service, like, no, you didn't see anybody.
Yeah.
It just, you were up there and you were just worshiping. And the other cool thing about it being with the lights out was that people were not as concerned about how they looked
Expressed
or
themselves.
sounded,
Yeah.
expressed themselves and stuff like that. And so that was one of those things for me that was instrumental. And I wish that more of our worship leaders and worship teams could experience something like that and go through something like that. And so actually my advice would be not to, make your church do worship with the lights out and stuff like that. But maybe if you are up and coming worship leader or on a worship team and stuff like that, I would say seek out opportunities to do stuff behind the scenes, to do stuff where you're not going to get any credit.
Yeah.
I would say like seek that out.
That's good, man.
Because it helps you to, like you said, posture your heart. It helps you to figure out why you're really doing this. And it helps you, number one, get better. But it helps you to see some of the stuff that goes into it and ways that you can be better, ways that you can make your team, your church better without having to like be on the spot,
Or in the spotlight. Yeah.
or in the spotlight. Yeah. And I would say, so I do think that there is a lot of star making. There is a lot of opportunity for pride in the way that we do worship ministry and worship music and all that kind of stuff now. And it's a challenge for a lot of us, because anybody who's doing something popular or
good.
are good.
Yeah.
Exactly. If you're doing something good that a lot of people like the first thing that usually happens is then that person or that group gets a following.
Yeah.
And our job is not to get a following.
Yeah.
Our job
To
as
point
worship
people
leaders
up. Yeah.
Yes, is to get him followers.
Yeah.
To point people to him. And if we are these like glory carriers, like it's only a reflection, right?
Yeah.
It's not our own glory. And if anybody gets anything good out of what we do, we have to make sure that they know that every good and perfect thing comes from God and not from us.
That song, you and I are mutual fans of River Valley Worship. The Every Good Thing. That's a good song.
Yeah, it's a great song, And so everything that is good, everything that we enjoy about worship ministry and worship music, all that comes from him. And anytime that we hoard any of that goodness for ourselves, or we allow that goodness to point us to something other than him, and we've misused that time. We've misused our position or that song or whatever it is. We've misused it. So
Yeah, man. I heard Brick Liquorwood. She said that every time that someone compliments her about what she did on stage, she gave this picture, like she takes it like a rose and she gathers them and then she gets like this bouquet and then gives them to the Lord like in private. So I thought that was a beautiful picture.
Yeah.
But at the time that we're filming this, people are gonna hear this in April. But right now, it's what's kind of going on in church slash worship culture is that Asbury revival, and I guess from what I understand, it's like it's the beauty and the presence is in the simplicity of what's going on because it's like super stripped down chapel. It's literally just like a cajon, keys, acoustic,
Yeah.
and people have been worshiping nonstop for I don't know, maybe been a week at this point. I don't know if you want to give me your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
That is, you know, at this point, like as the viewers are watching it, like you
Yeah.
said, it's some time has passed.
yeah. Some people are
So
like
my
traveling
only
there.
hope, my hope is that like it proves to be a genuine, movement
Yeah,
and a pursuit. But I think the approach as it is right now, that's a good thing.
yeah. It's beautiful, man.
To not want to politicize it, not want it to be anything other than a true devotion and pursuit of the Lord,
Yeah,
and for Him to come and to do what He does, like the promise that He's made us and that He has fulfilled because Jesus came, is that He would heal
yeah,
when we repent, when we turn to Him and we forsake our wicked ways, we turn to Him and we pray.
yeah,
The promise is that He would heal our land, and so
yeah,
I hope that there is just another amount of healing to our land that's
yeah,
happening because of that. Obviously, the ultimate healing of the world is in Jesus, and
yeah,
so He's fulfilled that promise. But it's always good to pursue the Lord,
yeah,
And if that's what's going on right now, then I say keep it going.
yeah.
And then we'll see the fruit from that: the repentance, the confession, the change in the way we do it, and the power that goes forth from the people of God because of the move of God.
Yeah.
I think that's what I look forward for and hope for.
Yeah, I think for me, what it's helped me remind myself of like the posture that my heart should have. Like, it doesn't mean that like church now only has to be like that. So we're stripping it down. It doesn't mean Sunday morning we're like gonna turn the tracks off and do all that stuff because all of that stuff in itself is not bad.
Right.
I think like us as worship leaders have the responsibility now of posturing our heart of wanting that kind of move.
Mm.
But doesn't mean that we have to. I also see the other side of the coin where people criminalize all that stuff. Where like you're just doing it for clout, you're just doing it for that, but they don't.
Right.
They don't know that like the reason I'm bringing this excellence and the reason I care about the volume levels on the tracks and all this stuff is because if I could provide an excellent experience, quote unquote, it means that I'm going to try to get out of the way and be the most minimal distraction or not a distraction at all so that you
Yeah.
can meet with Jesus. Because if I'm hitting flat notes left and right, that's
Right.
going to take away more attention than
Yes.
me executing it well,
Yep.
So for me, it's like, I mean, I'm gonna still use my in-ears. I'm gonna still use my tracks.
Yeah.
Because that's the opportunities I have right now. But my heart posture will be in that simplistic of like, I'm just here to worship God.
Yeah.
And I think worship culture now can take a lot from that, 'cause,
Absolutely.
I mean, we were talking about it, bro. I think sometimes it's easy to get caught up in the hype of my church got this new album coming out, or I'm singing on this, or collaborating with this person. And I mean, I'm not immune to that. Like I'm a human, and it's cool to do stuff with cool people.
Yep.
But yeah, man, bro. So kind of trying to wrap up the pod. How do you keep yourself healthy and your team healthy? Because it's like you're battling with this tug of war of like you are killing it every Sunday. So how do you keep the team like focused on what we're doing and also keep yourself focused on what you're doing? Because you're also like you got to be a dad and a husband
Absolutely.
and a leader to and a pastor to these people that God's trusted to you. So kind of talk to us about your self-care practices, your spiritual,
Yeah.
all that stuff, man.
Well, the fact of the matter is, like anybody in a pastoral position, like there are like requirements and qualifications in Scripture.
Mhm.
So I want to make sure I'm following those. That
Yeah.
like Paul wrote to Timothy and was like, "This is what it means
This
to
is
be
the
an
rule.
elder, a
Yeah,
pastor, or whatever it is. So I want to make sure I'm following those. You can't pastor a group of people if you don't pastor yourself.
that's good.
If you don't lead yourself.
Mhm.
And my first ministry is as a husband. Right next to it is fatherhood.
Yeah,
And so I can't presume to be the right person to lead this group of people if I'm not going to lead my family.
yeah.
Right. And so,
And we've seen a lot of people like choose church over their first ministry.
yes.
Yeah, my dad's big on that, bro. Like he's like, at the end of the day, God's gonna ask me what I did with my wife
Yep.
and what I did with my kids, like
Yep.
the church stuff. And I mean, it's important, but it's secondary to what God stewarded, like particularly to you,
Yes.
Ryan K. Crawford.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Like what it means, marriage and parenthood is such a reflection of like God's relationship to us
yeah,
that it's not to be taken lightly. Obviously, we're supposed to have joy in it and we're supposed to have
Yeah.
fun and stuff. But it's not something that you could be like, okay, cool, I'm married now.
you can wild
I
out.
gotta get out.
Yeah.
I gotta get on with the rest of my life now that I'm married and got kids and stuff. Like nothing in your life is going to be more important than those two things.
Yeah.
Not saying that it's not important, but nothing is going to be more important than your marriage and your parenthood.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
So as far as like balancing that,
Yeah.
I think it's not necessarily a balancing act as much as it is like this is what needs to happen.
Like
so
a
it's not me.
decision.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not me saying, okay, how do I balance my family life and my church life? If I have a family life that's out of balance, then my church life is not like my church job is not like it needs to. I need to realign,
Yeah.
you know, and figure out. So, I think that's where you start.
Yeah,
you
man.
know, and then as
Single
far as
people, you would say like steward yourself before you steward your.
yeah,
Yeah.
you got to.
Yeah.
Like Jesus told us to.
Yeah.
You know, he was like, if you got a friend with a speck in his eye, like don't try to get the speck in his eye when you got a log in your eye.
Yeah.
Get the log out first.
Yeah.
And then worry about the speck later.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like there's the obviously also the philosophical quote that he gave when he was talking to his people in his hometown. He was like, "Physician, heal thyself." Well, like I do think that if you are like going to lead people, you got to lead yourself.
Yeah.
And so, you can't do that without the word, without prayer and stuff like that. So a lot of things that I would say to people as far as how to do it, it's going to be simple, and it's not
It's
like,
not this rocket science.
it's not a
deep
revolutionary idea. It's not
Yeah.
something new. It's something that God has given us from years, ages old. He's given us his word. He's given us his spirit. He's given us the opportunity. He's even opened up the Holy of Holies to us so that we could be with him and we can approach his throne. And so to remember that this God who is all knowing, he's infinite, and to remember that he's inviting us into relationship.
Yeah.
That's to remember where you get your power from. And that's to remember where you get, revived and refreshed and stuff.
Literally
like that.
the seek first his kingdom and all this.
Yeah.
Bro, that part's so hard for me because, like, transparently, as I love that, and I know that that's basically the answer for life. But I think my generation or myself, I can get caught up in just being so busy, man. Just like trying to go to work every day, trying to get the pod going, trying to stay involved in worship, and it's just like I'm running. But if at the end of the day, if I'm just running for no reason or running without the empowerment of the Holy Spirit, something's gonna go wrong somewhere, you know. So I mean, if I were to piggyback off your point, I'd also like tell visionaries or people on the pod that it all comes down to a simple thing, of seeking first the kingdom. And I think
it is very simple. Man.
It's very simple, man. Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that I pray and wish and hope for, like, this generation. When I say generation, I don't necessarily mean like age group. I mean
like people
everybody
around
who's alive right now.
Yeah.
But this generation, I mean like this era of people, because young to old, everybody's affected by busyness. Everybody's affected by a desire to chase their own dreams or ambitions and stuff like that. And so everybody needs to hear it,
Mhm.
you know, no matter how old or young you are. And so my prayer and my hope is for people to not necessarily feel this desire for new, something different and something crazy apart from what God has already given us and provided and told us. And even like Jesus, when he was walking on earth and the teachers was like, show us some new sign or something like that. And he was like, that's a wicked generation that needs a sign.
Yeah.
You know, I'm giving you the word. I am the word, you know. And so like I think that's still true today.
Yeah.
Like we don't need anything new. God has already given us everything we need for life and godliness.
Yeah.
He's given us everything that we need. And so if we could pull back and simplify a little bit and realize that all the things that we're chasing and all the things that we want to do, it might be good things. And just like all truth is God's truth, all goodness is God's goodness. Like anything that's good comes from him. So I'm not saying that things that we pursue are bad. I'm saying that we, in the busyness and in the pursuit of those things, we can't forget that if this is good, it's from God. And so that's who we need to be plugged into for this thing. And so if we're plugged into him and it goes at his pace, then it's going to be perfect.
I love that, bro. Bro, thanks for making time to come on the pod. For real.
Loved it.
If you, before we leave, plug your stuff, man, your socials, if you got music out there, where to find you, all the things.
Yeah. So if you want to see not a lot going on, no, I'm just kidding. I'm Ryan K. Crawford on Instagram. Well, I do a lot more on my YouTube channel. I have a Ryan Crawford Music or just Ryan K. Crawford on YouTube.
Plug it, bro. We out here.
And that's where I put my music and stuff right now. I do a lot of drum stuff. I try to help the church out with like drum tutorials. I got some of my own stuff out there. So Ryan K. Crawford, Ryan Crawford Music on YouTube.
My favorite worship song that you wrote is also on Spotify. What's it called? Your
Presence.
Presence.
Your Presence. Yeah, that's so I wrote that song with Battle Creek Church. So Battle Creek Collective on Spotify. Your Presence changes everything.
Count in parentheses. Other things. Facebook, Ryan K. Crawford.
Yeah, that's me.
You got a couple movies out.
Yeah, I just said my sequel just came out.
My sequel just came out. Dang it, dude. Church, Battle Creek Church downtown.
Yes, Battle Creek Church downtown. I would love to see you. 1915 East 3rd Street. Come worship with us on Sundays at 9 and 11. If you're in the Tulsa area and you're looking for somewhere to have some fun, connect with some cool people, hear some good voices like Jacob, myself, or anything. Yeah, we out here. Come check us out.
Collab. Let us know. Just get that you're a visionary coming out during church. That'd be funny.
Wait, what? Oh, the pot. Plug the pot. Yeah.
Like, no, I'm saying, like, if they come to church, and it'd be funny if they told us that they found out about it.
I got you.
On the pod.
Yeah, man, it'd be crazy.
I saw your gears grinding there a little bit. You're like, wait, what's going on?
I was trying to figure it out.
Nah, you good. We made it. We made it to the pod. Bro, mad love, mad appreciation for you.
I love you, man.
Thanks for coming on the pod. We will, season 2, we're rolling. We'll catch y'all next week.